Okay, that should do it. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first proper episode of Eunuch Corner Club Live. With us, we have my co-hosts, Kizza-GT, Carnal Conservative, like last week, and our guest today is a Swede by the name of Pomen. So
Hello.
I'm going to start unmuting everyone. Pomen, tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
There's a lot to tell and nothing for the moment. All right, hello everybody. My name is Pomen. You might have seen me around. I did a podcast with Ray. What was that? Last year, 2018, September 2018 till September 2019, which later collapsed. Sad. And I have my own YouTube channel, also named Pomen, which I've done many videos, but something that blew up in March of this year, which was my Maria the Witch video, which talked about her, well, how she is as a person, and her necrophilia video, which she made, which has now 80,000 views, which is nutters, but it's a while ago. March of this year, it feels like 10 years ago. That's how 2020 feels.
It was another time.
It was another time. Every month is another year into 2020, feels like that. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at the Pomen. So yeah, I do many other things as well, but for the moment, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and I don't feel secure talking about them yet.
For sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Life is rough and stressful for the moment. I just enjoy being back in a podcast environment where I can just talk.
Well, good. You have a beautiful voice, and I love hearing you. So we have with us again today Carnal Conservative. You all remember him from last week, but we're going to go through this again briefly. Carnal, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move on to Kizza.
Oh, I'm the resident religious fundamentalist. I am a Latter-day Saint. I am a mix of a TradCon and PaleoCon, and my primary channel is made on the idea that the left is failing to live up to the promises of being fulfilling and satisfactory, and so I'm trying to make the case that returning to a more biblical ethic could be more fulfilling for the human experience rather than leftism in general.
Sounds good. And my friend Kizza from across the pond in the glorious Britland. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Just like Carnal did, tell us a brief bit about yourself to refresh everyone.
Well, me, I am, technically speaking, a fully trained engineer by trade, so I'm used to fixing stuff. And my mentality is to try and fix almost any problems of this world. It can be fixed. You just need the right people and the right tools.
Cool.
No arguments there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So it's been about 5 minutes. We're gonna just talk and shoot the breeze for another few minutes, and around 10 after, we'll actually get into our first topic here. We're gonna see if more people will straggle in. It seems we've got 21 watching already. That's great. I think we topped out around 35 last time, I think, didn't we? Isn't that about what we topped out at?
Yeah. I actually have a funny
averaged in the
story.
20s last week. Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Start us off there, Carnal.
Well, this story starts actually with my wife, Miss Carnal, getting a phone call from her leftist SJW sibling, who I think she has a degree in art and film. And so in our faith, we have a strong tradition of genealogy work, knowing who your ancestors are. And so this leftist sibling, decided to inquire of my dear wife whether or not their ancestry included someone who was born on an Indian reservation or had some claim to Indian rights or something to that nature. And so my wife took her through their genealogy on the phone. And sure, there was, I think one individual or two that had been Chickasaw and Cherokee and all these other things. They were born on the reservation, but my wife did not neglect to inflict her with a bunch of other information, and this leftist shortly learned that their genealogy also included unironic passing of slaves from the ancestor to the descendant. So a plantation owning slave owning family passing their slaves from their father to the sons also occurred. They learned that they were part European, and that they also had Viking ancestry from Sweden and Norway. And so it was very amusing to watch and listen to my wife's half of this conversation as this social justice warrior looking for what was clearly virtue signal points, learning that they too were one of the quote unquote oppressors in their paradigm. And that's pretty much it. It was just it was fascinating having this person having to listen that, you know.
Yeah, reality doesn't always fit within people's ideas. They create this narrative around themselves, but in actuality, they are part of they are the worst part of it. You know, the funny thing is, many people in America did not actually own slaves. It was just the rich.
No, it was
I don't know how many percent it is. Yeah,
I think it was less than 2%.
And being from one of those families are not common, and that person is ironic.
Well, and it's hilarious because this family is, you know, predominantly Hispanic, and in America you don't associate a Hispanic family with slave ownership, but lo and behold, in their genealogical line, they did in fact own and pass on slaves. So,
I found that very interesting when it comes to American history, where they say it's whites that own slaves, forgetting all of Latin America.
Oh my gosh.
Well, all of the world, really. I mean, slavery,
yes.
Forced servitude, slavery, conquering people. I mean, as far back as you go in history, people conquered people near them and forced them to either be directly in servitude with chains and whatnot, or just forced them to be subjugated and forcibly took from them wealth and food and stuff.
Yeah, and if you believe how we define things, there are actually more slaves alive today than back in those days.
Well, not just that. Something I was going to say, it was around. I heard the statistic that 1 in 3 blacks back in America did own slaves.
Yeah, that's a funny shock to the system too.
Not actually, to be fair, regarding what I know of history and people, I'm not surprised at all. It's always the people who preach the loudest who are always the most guilty.
Yeah, there is that predominant trend, isn't there?
No, it's almost like they're guilty of original sin.
Correct, and this is actually, speaking of original sin and how people do this, it's actually very common within religion that many religious leaders do a lot of charity, and they're doing that to kind of portray themselves as good. See, I'm helping. In reality, they're actually hurting more interpersonal between their community members than what they're helping.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
so I like to take. I didn't meet the Khan, but I was in Aga Khan University in London, and I spoke to some of the people there. They're a bit brainwashed. Part of me is gonna, hopefully, doesn't watch this. But the thing is that's so funny about Aga Khan is he portrays himself as a good man, helping poor people in Pakistan, but in actuality, he's just abusing them for money. But they portray themselves as grandeur, as beautiful, as virtuous. But in actuality, it's dark. It's very dark. And they bought us dinner. Bought me us a hamburger, like fancy restaurant hamburger. And
man, I could go for one of those right now. I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah, and we kind of the people, we don't believe in the propaganda. The people were there with me. And we kind of just turned to each other. It's like, technically, we're eating hamburgers bought by Pakistanis, like poor Pakistani farmers was abused. That's what's paying for our hamburger.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had to go with it. We can't do much about it. We just enjoy it. But
All right,
Interesting to see.
it's 10 after, so we're going to get moving with the first topic. But before we do that, I would like to remind everyone, I have two ways that you can contribute to my channel's growth. I have a PayPal Me link if you want to give one-time tips. And I also have a subscribe star if you would like to help this channel grow directly. Every dollar that you give goes directly to improving my channel and white well-being. I don't need your money to buy video games or to pay rent. Every dollar I get will go directly to getting better equipment and hopefully getting a nice stable digicam that I can take out into the community to do interviews with and stuff. So if any of you would like to contribute, I've got the links in the chat there.
Sell out. Sorry, I have to do it. The funny thing is, yeah, I'm the same way. I have a website where you can donate and all that. Sure, you ask, you want it, but at the same time, I feel always so bad asking for money.
Well, I don't at all. So I did.
You're just selling your labor.
I mean, yeah, labor, but it's like you yeah. It's like
it's just to help me get better equipment.
It's like
that's really the only thing that I need extra money for, because I got my bills and basics covered, but I don't have much money to spend elsewhere, and all my extra time goes into this channel and networking and stuff during the week. So that's why it's donations are appreciated for helping me get better equipment, and especially for getting equipment for doing field work, which I can't wait to start doing. I've got 2 people on the hook that said they might help me go out into the community and hold cameras and help me interview people and stuff. So hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to have some fun Crowder-like videos of me interviewing people about white guilt and Black Lives Matter nonsense, that kind of thing. So with that being said, we're going to move away from that. And our friend Pomen today has a particular topic that he would like to discuss. And I will let him take the reins from here to open up the forum to discussion here at the Corner Club tonight. So, Pomen, if you would.
Thank you. I have a burp going on, so thank you. Now, there's something I wanted to discuss I've seen out of recently that I learned. It's very interesting. So I am from Sweden, if you people did not know. And I think you've heard about what's going on in Sweden. I mean, even Trump says what's happening in Sweden. But I never could describe exactly why it happened, why all of the things that happened. But I learned it during Corona on exactly what that was that caused Sweden to get this turmoil. And it's something I like to call national psychosis. And it sounds weird. So what's a national psychosis? Well, when things are bad, I mean, really, really bad, usually you expect people to rally or do some sort of, not revolt, but complain to the government, right? When things are bad, the government is not doing well. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is a doubling down instead by the people. So instead of saying you're doing wrong, it's saying you are the best, you never do anything wrong, I believe in you 100%. So with the Corona, for example, because Sweden had a very unique strategy, and the strategy was not to do any lockdowns whatsoever. Well, we did soft lockdowns, which was you're not allowed to meet more than 50 people. And please take a distance from each other. It was more of a recommendation than a forceful thing. And because of this, we are the epicenter of the virus in Europe. And, that sounds horrible, right? Yeah, it is. But the people think that's good. They think that our system is so perfect, it's nothing wrong with it, and that the leading epidemiologist is more or less a deity. It's going so bad that there's a fan club on Facebook about him, and his name is Anders Tegnell. So he's the main guy who created the strategy together with his team. And instead of complaining to Tegnell or being even allowed to complain to Tegnell, people worship him, literally worship him. They get tattoos tattoos on their body with his face on them.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts. That's like crazy cult mentality, or those ridiculous fangirls of rock stars that get tattoos of them on them.
Yeah.
Or skets, as I prefer to refer to them as.
The funny thing, there is a Facebook group called We Support Anders Tegnell. It has 80,000 followers. And then there's a second one, which has 40,000 followers. And if you read these, it's just shaming every other country for things we have done. So a funny thing, the 15th of July, Sweden was supposed to open up its borders to the rest of the EU zone, right? No other nation, except I think a few, like 1 or 2, said yes to that. So that was Sweden's plan. But every other nation says, yo, you're the epicenter of this virus right now. Not Italy, not Belgium, not Spain, you. And we are not going to open our borders to you until you have fixed your problems. So what was once the strategy of opening up said no. They said no, that's no one allowed it. All right, so what did Tegnell and company do? Well, instead of saying, crap, why didn't they do it? They said, aha, but we are smart for not allowing us to open up the borders. You guys are stupid for opening up your borders. You're going to spread it more than we will spread it. So he gaslights a lot. So he makes a claim, like he claimed that Stockholm will have immunity from the virus because of group immunity. And then when people said, yo, that didn't work, that's dumb, why did you say that? He says, I never said that. And then he continues. And it goes on and on and on and on like that. And instead of complaining, instead of, actually doing something, they worship him as a god. For example, the Australian team did a documentary on Sweden.
Can you tell me this man's name again? What is
it? Anders Tegnell.
Anders Tegnell. This is a Swede?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me write it to you.
If you don't mind, type it in the chat because people can pull him open and then we can look, or pull him open in a tab and we can look at him later.
There he is.
Oh, actually, with that, I do have a great name for people to research regarding this topic of Sweden.
Cool.
Well, I am largely ignorant of this person and the situation in Sweden regarding the coronavirus. If I could just inquire, what is the death rate in Sweden for COVID-19?
All right, let me get the numbers in front of me here.
I'm pretty certain they still have the highest death rates per capita.
So we have about 10 million citizens.
Okay.
We have 76,877 confirmed cases, with 5,593 deaths. And just a reminder, that death number is not up to date. It can take a week or two for that death number to be up to date.
Well, no, just
but of what the public knows.
Well, no, just doing the numbers in my head, just looking at that generally, that is a lot higher than normal. Because here in the States, we're doing testing. Well, we've got the state shut down. We've got masks on for the most part. I mean, if you're in Texas or some other liberated state, you're not some place that's not a leftist shithole. You ignore the masks as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I will say that even though we're testing and most of the people who test positive are asymptomatic, like they're not exhibiting symptoms. Yeah. They're not. So there's a lot of us in the States who have the opposite problem. We feel that at this point in time, it's an overreaction because most of us have, for our country, it seems like the curve has been flattened. And now the narrative has changed to where we don't want to flatten the curve, we want to crush the curve. And to me, that is unrealistic. I don't approve of that changing of gears.
Yeah.
So I find myself comparing my situation and my nation with yours, and it's almost something that I can't really. It goes against my nation's narrative at this time, and it seems to be because your country did absolutely nothing.
We did next to nothing. I mean, universities closed down and stuff like that, and moved to online. A lot of companies. Can
I jump in here for a second, if you don't mind? I'd like to jump in. One of the things that I do think America did correct at first was a brief temporary lockdown because so much bad was supposedly happening in a short amount of time. I do believe it was wise for the federal government to take quick action and for governors to follow suit and sort of pump the brakes and say, whoa, 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 okay, everybody wear a mask, everybody stay home for a week. Let's see what this is going to be like. Because in the beginning, we didn't much know, and we only had what was coming out of China and what the WHO was saying. However, I think that initial response, the first couple of weeks, we should have just go ahead and opened up and just been responsible after that and not kept everything locked down. I think that from that point on, it was 100% New World Order power grab to try to destroy small businesses and tighten their grasp on all of our necks. And I think it was very opportunist of globalism to do that.
Well, and I personally agree with Yiz on that. However, I find myself contrasting our situation with Pomen's situation, where it seems that nothing, absolutely nothing was done, and it's been proven to be catastrophic. So
Yes.
So the reason I brought that up is I wanted to say, do you think that it's evident that in Sweden you don't have the same invasive element of globalist control or New World Order activists in your government? Or do you think it's just because people in your government are horrifically inept and don't care?
The latter. The first one is silly. The latter.
Yeah, on all of this, speaking as an Englishman, what's going on in England? From what I understand, per capita rate is not as bad as Sweden, but boy, oh boy, has Boris done an absolute disaster job in terms of dealing with this virus.
I agree with that.
I've also been kind of mad at Priti Patel. She talked a big game. It hasn't been following through much.
Trust me, Years, I've been scolding a certain English liberal on this point for quite a few months. Don't buy into Priti Patel. She's all talk and no bottle. If she was really serious about some of the stuff she was talking about, like for instance that little taxi service on the English Channel, she would have sent the troops down and made an example out of them.
Amen.
But that's too fascist for these types because they're just a bunch of fucking suit-loving progressives. But in general, regarding my job, what's hilarious about where I'm working, before we went into furlough, there was 4 confirmed cases. After we come back to furlough, there's around 35 confirmed cases. And that's despite the fact all of us are wearing face masks and freaking visors with freaking one-way systems all over the place.
Well, I mean, there has to come a point with this virus where, as I said, if you flatten the curve, all that means is that you're not overloading the system. Flattening the curve just means everyone's still going to get it, but the impact on society won't be as bad. We already knew going into this from the start of it, allegedly, that this was going to be bad, that it was going to, run its course through our society, through our communities, and that was just something we would have to bear. The idea that, you go from 4 or 5 to 35 should not be surprising. It's actually what we were told was going to happen. The idea that we were all going to be protected if we did the X, Y, and Z, we knew was imaginary. We knew that when this virus came out, if it did the things that they claimed that it did, that everyone was going to get it anyway. Yeah. So I don't understand the psychosis of, oh no, we have an infection here, we have an infection there. Bitch, it's everywhere. Deal with it.
But what kind of makes me laugh is 2 narratives that no one seems to be talking about. If you look at the places which have the lowest infection rate, are ironically the ones which, dare I say, took the most logical solution and shut down the borders with China and terminated all travel.
Well, yes, and because, that would be the logical thing to do. And it's, I don't know.
Yeah, and also regarding what's going on in America, from what I understand, the curve hasn't been flattening overall, purely due to pretty much straight after a certain incident happened. And what makes me laugh is, in the UK, I don't know if they said this in the United States, they keep saying minorities are more likely to be infected. by this virus. So
And that's because, but that's not because of anything ugly or bad. It's because of poor diet, bad behavior, etc., etc. The usual reasons that BAME people, or if you're in America, minority people, the usual reasons they have worse health and better and worse prospects is because of bad life choices, bad diet, etc.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you have the same media going on about how having protests is going to be that's going to be gold mine for the virus. But then at the same time, doing a complete 180 and saying all these types of protests, no, COVID was like, nah, I ain't going to touch that. Oh, but this protest, we're definitely going to go after that. To bring up an old 2012 meme.
Well, yes, but returning to Pomen's unique situation about this almost deification of someone who has spelled mitigated disaster, I'm just coping with the fact that if Trump had adopted the policies now of what this official in Sweden has said to do, I would stand up and applaud my president for instituting the policies that this Swedish official has suggested, because we did those things at the first. So I'm really kind of at a dissonance here.
Yeah, because for me, me personally, I wish Boris just took no prisoner, took no chances and just shut the borders. But with Sweden, when it went all in on the herd immunity, which is what Boris basically adopted, but to a lesser extent, Sweden had the worst freaking cases of it. But then you hear certain sources try and claim, oh, it's a good model to work off. I'm like, is it really? And also, thanks to a certain Swedish YouTuber, we have cases of doctors deliberately letting certain patients die, specifically OAPs.
Yes.
So
I have an interesting story that's very sad.
Yeah.
About
Go on.
So I, for the people who don't know, I studied religion, so I talk a lot to a lot of people, and every Wednesday I usually have a bit of a Bible session with Jehovah's Witnesses over Skype, which is fun. No, it's fun. He doesn't want to convert me. We're just talking. It's enjoyable.
I'll believe that when I see it, but that's probably because I've had Jehovah's Witnesses before.
I've known him for 45 years. He's very honest with me, and I respect it. I learn a lot from him. But that's not the point. We talk Bible, but we also talk real life. And he told me a story of somebody in his what's called a church that got COVID and was quite bad. So it was an older couple. Man was 80 something and the woman was 78. The wife was 78. The man had a sickness, which was not COVID at first. And he went to the doctor to get it checked. The doctor checked it, not a problem. But he accidentally got COVID when he visited the doctor. So after a few days, he got sick again and he went to the doctor and he was confirmed positive. And the doctor said, we can't take care of you. We don't have enough room to take care of you. Is it okay if you go back home? And the man, being 80, trusts the doctor and said, yeah, okay, I go home. And he goes home.
So then he typhoid married his family.
He infected his wife, and a week later, both of them died.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's awful. And I guess there's going to be no justice for them, of course.
No.
So
I was like, it was insane because the doctor should know that he has an older family member, meaning wife, at home. Why didn't the doctor say, go to one of your children or go to a place that are isolated and we'll send someone over from time? I don't know. But no, go home to your wife and both of you die. They sent him to die. And that was just one of many cases here. It's insane. We don't have enough room. The interesting part, there's many interesting parts. I had a conversation a few weeks ago with somebody from America who was saying that Sweden's strategy was good. And he told me, Sweden is good because they're sending respirators to Italy. That means it's working and hospitals are not overcrowded in Sweden. Yeah, we sent those respirators before the virus hit us to Italy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's disgusting because there's a lot of people dying. So I was going on a tangent before, but I want to continue that. The Australian documentary to talk to you, they followed an Assyrian family and what happened to them. So their father died, which it usually hits immigrant families, and it's because of he said it's two reasons. One is a lack of information, because it happened very quickly. There was not a lot of information to these groups, and plus the very close social knitting. They're very collectivistic in comparison to Sweden. So it spreads much easier. But he told a documentary about a rally. Can you mute yourself from time to time, Matt? God damn.
That's a kid in the background, don't I?
Yeah. So there was a rally going on in Sayed's Toy.
Sorry, I was expecting Carnal to do that himself. If you want, I'll be on mute duty when the kids get loud.
Thank you.
I got it.
So there was a rally in Stockholm, in Sayed's Toy, which is usually where rallies happens in Stockholm, where I think it was just a dozen of people whose parents have died, did a rally just saying, stop this strategy, go into a lockdown, or, enforce some sort of a lockdown, please. The strategy is failing. And the Swedes that passed by, they didn't greet them with respect. They screamed at them, they spit at them, and say, how dare you? How dare you question our experts?
How dare you?
How dare your father die? How dare you?
I'll pipe down, Greta. Do something useful for once.
How dare you?
She was not more relevant she was relevant for 1 year, and that's it. She's no longer relevant.
Well, hell, she was on the freaking coronavirus.
She might not be relevant, but she's still ugly and retarded.
Yeah. Don't be mean.
No. She's not. No. Keyword. She's not retarded. She suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome.
It's fetal leftist syndrome. Her parents are insufferable leftists.
Calm down. Still just a kid. It's not the kid's fault. It's abusive parents.
Dude, she's not a kid. She's 17. Come on. Or 18 maybe by now.
Depends on where you are. Some will say it's adult. Some will say it's a kid.
Yeah, but I don't condone. I don't like Greta. Don't take me wrong, but I don't condone her calling her names.
Well, forgive me for trying to have some levity on the show. Please continue.
I'm just sorry.
Yes. I completely lost my head now. Yeah, but the point being what I wanted to go with national psychosis and say why that explains a lot of things that's happening in Sweden. It also explains what happened in 2015 with the immigration crisis. Same thing there. Sweden had a strategy. They went for it, which was allow, the EU had a quota of how many we should take in. And Sweden said, let's take even more than the EU quota.
Wasn't it like 250,000 in 1 year?
It was a lot.
Yeah, I heard about as much as 250,000 in 1 year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. 250,000 for Sweden?
Yeah, and the population is, as he said, 10 million. So
what's the primary demographic of all these people?
That's insane.
North African or Middle Eastern, if memory serves.
Yeah.
So is that why in the last 20, because in one of my videos recently when I was talking about demographic change, I showed how Sweden like 30 or 40 years ago was almost 0% Muslim, and now it's almost 10% Muslim.
Yeah.
Is it because of that?
Sweden had racial policies up till the 60s.
That is true, yeah. And also
eugenics.
That is true. That's true. But also, Sweden started to get the first batch of Muslim immigrants from the Balkan Wars.
Yes, the Yugoslavs, which caused a lot of problems.
So that plus the modern EU quota thing has dramatically increased the amount of Islam in your country.
Yeah, of course, numbers, but it started in. We started allowing immigration in the 60s because we had a lack of workers. But most of those people were mostly Slavic, some Finnish, but some Iraqis, but not many in the early ages. But it's still, that policy changed and kept building on that policy, which allowed more and more people to come in. That's why we are in the state that we are right now. But Swedes handled this interestingly. So our race, like as I usually say, one of the most racist people you will ever meet is a Swede. But they're subconsciously very racist.
I thought the Italians were worse.
Hey, bibbidi boobidi, no.
So you're saying the Swedes are
Italians
good
are very
people
honest.
that care about their own? That's what you're saying?
I mean, we lack nepotism, but we are, like, as you should say, it's internally the Swede is very imperialistic. We see other people that are not Swede as subhumans, and
Well, I think that's pretty normal.
You're not gonna hear. Well, I mean, we're
Maybe
harsh.
that's just me being arrogant. I don't know.
We're harsh about it. The funny thing is, you're not gonna hear a Swede actually say it, but you see it subconsciously in how they kind of act. And a way to see that is how Sweden actually handles the people coming in, and it's through segregation.
So
They
elaborate a
don't
little more on
want
that.
to spend
What do you
time.
mean through segregation? They have their
They
own.
don't want to spend time with them. So, all right. So, with the Yugoslavs, when in the 80s, it was the Kuwait War, if I'm correct, which brought in Iraqis and Iranians, which was fine. But their children, together with the Yugoslav children, created a new sort of subculture in Sweden, which we call Blattar, which is it's the N word for the Americas, but it's not used for it's subculture of that type of deal. So these people have dual identity, which makes them very confused. So they are, born and raised in Sweden, knows that language, but are ethnically something else. So they have this conflict on what's their identity. Am I Swedish or am I Bosnian, for example? And with this vacuum, created a new culture where the second generation start defining themselves as that, which is Blatte, for example. And sadly, that identity turned into crime. It was first sort of like a...
Sounds a lot like most of our major cities here. New York, San Francisco, LA. It's the same thing. The people self-segregate. We get too many of them at once. They don't integrate into the parent culture, and then they turn to crime and gangs and stuff.
I do have some knowledge on this regarding Sweden, because one of the main cities in question that this policy was affected by was Malmö.
Correct.
And that's where they have the gang problems and the grenades and the machine guns and stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And public executions.
God, really?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
Is that the city that Tim Pool flew to see if there really were no-go zones?
Yes, that was the city.
Because I remember watching that years ago,
no-go
thinking it was crazy.
Like the only celebrity I can think of who could walk into Malmo and will not have any hassle is Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
No. This year there was what's it called? It's the Romans did it. The thing you put on a wall. Keramik in Swedish. I don't remember what the hell it's called.
Well, like a statue. Oh wait, you mean like this? Oh, that statue incident?
No, yeah, but anyways, it was a thing on the wall in the subway. They shot it, and it was on Ibrahimovic's teeth. Smile. They shot him.
Like a mural? Would you say? Would you say
Yes.
it's like a mural? Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I would say him because I know he's from Malmo.
Yeah, he's from Rosengård.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most segregated areas in Malmö.
Yeah, but on your point regarding how you have these, you could say second generation,
Yes,
who are raised in Sweden but are ethnically Bosnian or Croatian or however.
yeah.
I believe it would have been Teddy Roosevelt described this as split loyalty.
No, they don't have that loyalty against Yugoslavia, for example. They don't really have that. They want to stay here, but it's just like if you talk to one of them,
Yeah.
they want Sweden to be their home. They want to invest here, but then they feel like secondary people.
Well, I mean, I could definitely understand that, given the fact that all the so-called non-racist middle-class Swedes all living in super nice houses, well away from all the crime and all that, which kind of reminds me of that. What was the name of that journalist working for the local? I'm trying to think of his name, but he tried scolding Farage over the shit that was going on in Sweden a few years ago.
Well,
But yeah, it's just like it's almost like Sweden. They try and advertise themselves in one way, but when you really break down the dance, it's basically the opposite, but it's done in quite a passive-aggressive manner.
So yeah, what you're talking about is what we like to call Sverigebilden, or the Swedish Sverigebilden, which is the Swedish picture, which is how we like to frame ourselves to the rest of the world.
I think your language is beautiful. I love hearing it.
Yeah.
All right. And it's so important that that picture is beautiful. It's clear. It's telling the rest of the world, what we was back in the day, one of the best nations in the world, and not a hellhole. But I think the good thing about this corona is people see through it now. Because every nation, Nordic Alliance is dead. It died. It died. And, the funny thing is, during the refugee crisis, Sweden closed the border to Denmark. And the reason was to get the immigrants when they came into Sweden. So we could, put them in an asylum home. Yeah, hopes. Which is shit. Like, don't, as much as I can give shit for refugees and whatever, if you get put in one of those homes, you can be there for 10 years and nothing happens with you. It's a
my God.
Yeah, it's a void. Nothing's going to happen to you.
So basically, it's like a prison, but
it's unironically. You get
and this is part of the national psychosis you're talking about, where people just ignore it. It's like a psychological break. They just don't think about it.
Yeah, they don't.
So
hang on.
How did Sweden get duped into starting accepting these refugees, despite having this clear vision of who they consider themselves to be?
Probably financial pressure from the EU. I would imagine.
No. I can answer this. I can answer this. Sorry, Pomen. I can answer this. It all ties to one particular woman.
No.
Barbara Lena Spector.
No. That's stupid. That's retarded. I know what you're talking about.
The law was laid down by Pomen. Boom.
I know who you're talking about. She wanted to fuck some Arab, so she said those types of things. She doesn't have institutional. She has some power, but she's not the sole reason why Sweden did this. Is she a consequence of it? Yeah. She's still part of the system. So definitely, you can view the worst of it there, but trust me, it's bad. So, do you want me to tell you crazy stories? I can tell you more crazy stories. All right. In Malmö, there is anti-fascist sort of anarcho-syndicalist, or whatever you're going to call it, home in Malmö, which is funded by the state as a cultural center. And there they do like activities with children. They help things like that. It's in an immigrant type area.
I hate it already.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Trust me, it gets worse. It gets a lot.
Carnal.
So it's run by whites.
Thanks, I hate it.
It's run by.
Thanks, I hate it.
It's run by whites.
Sorry, Pomen, go ahead.
It's run by whites. It's run by hippie whites that exist in these areas.
Sounds like a Proud Boys hunting ground.
Yeah, none
of that. Susan, you hear me, Susan? Susan, I disavow.
Wait,
none of that.
I repent. It was a joke.
No more, Carnal. Hush. No more of that. We're not getting zucked over that.
All right, I'll continue explaining. So with state money, these people, did the organization, did the funny activities, But they also helped a lot of the Salafistic Muslim ideas in the neighborhood. And they wanted to become, more inclusive with the community. So they allowed more and more Muslim influence. And they wanted to help refugees from Syria because they made a lot of refugee friends. So what they did to make sure that people can get asylum homes, it was marrying off their women to Syrian men. So white women
that makes me sick.
married off to, and the funny thing is, you think, oh, the Syrians love this, they gain from this. No,
They hate it.
They duped the fucking Syrians. They had no clue what the fuck was happening. They just said, yo, want to come to Sweden? Yeah, why not? My country's shit, And all right, we'll set you up. And then he comes and has to marry this white woman. It's like, excuse me? This is not what I expected. You didn't tell me this. So they disavowed them. And this was then heard that they're spending state money illegally to marry off white women to Syrian men. And the insane part is as well, the organization had become so infiltrated. So it's pretty much Salafistic, all of it. You see pictures about it. These pictures anti-anarchistic, white people playing bass guitar. And then there's a picture of a bunch of children, girls, fully covered up. So they're unironically supporting the worst type of patriarchy to fight the patriarchy.
Well, I don't expect any logic or reason from so-called anti-fascists then, who are unironically funded by the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also,
the state didn't know because they were just doing activities, which is okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, where are the feminists? I mean, technically speaking, that they didn't consent to this, so technically speaking, that's pro-rape.
Hey, hang on. I need to ask. So, yep. The Swedish national identity has this image of itself, and yet to make this program work, they need to marry off these Syrian refugee men to Swedish women. Where the fuck are they getting the Swedish women, is my question.
The women volunteer.
Yeah, believe it or not, Carnal, from what I was reading about this, sorry to interrupt, Pomen, there's a lot of very, very miserable single women out there who want some young, non-Swedish dick, to put it politely.
Well, you mean they couldn't get Swedish dick?
They want
No. What I'm saying is these women were basically like the feminist types where they could
There's a
get
Swedish
it,
meatball joke in here somewhere, but I can't fish it out.
I mean the organizers were men. Like there was men and women mixed. It's hippie people.
Well, yeah, but hippies, let's be frank here, they may get together once, but let's be frank here, any old jock could turn up and take all the women if they wanted to.
Okay, I don't know your point. I don't understand your point.
I'm sincerely doubting that these women who signed up to be jihadi brides could actually get a Swedish guy. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sorry. I can't. There's a part of my brain that suspects that there might be like a human trafficking thing with these women to marry off these guys to, because I don't see that. I don't see a massive demand for that in the tune of 2,500,000 a year. To me, that does not make sense. That there would be 2,500,000, give or take, Swedish women who want to be married off to immigrant Syrian men.
They're not marrying off to be married forever. They're marrying off fakely to get them citizenships.
Oh, I see. So it's like a rotating polygamous cult.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
Oh my!
No, that's
I mean, this was so insane for everybody. It's under heavy investigation, but it just explains some people's mentality.
Okay, so we have maybe maximum a few, like maybe max 2,000 radical feminists marrying off and marrying and cycling through these immigrants to get them citizenship for reasons. I mean, what is the end goal? Is it just immigration for its own sake? Do they get some kind of kickback? Do they get some kind of monetary benefit, or is it purely ideological?
It's purely altruistic. If you understand what I mean with that.
I understand.
You're being good, you're being helpful to humanity, purely altruistic, helping people in need.
Yeah, you're talking to someone who does not consider altruism to be a divine quality.
Me neither. But it's I'm just using their logic.
Fair enough.
Using their logic against them is absolutely brilliant.
Well, Pomen,
it's
have we covered everything about the psychosis issue? You want to move on to something else now?
Yeah, just summarizing it, it's whenever something bad happens, and it's by a nation often, instead of rallying against it, they double down on it and become so insane. Another example, just I want to create another example to explain.
Sure.
In
Sure,
the absolute absurd sense, is when a woman was raped on a train by a refugee, and when the police started, arresting the man and taking care of her, she said, "Please, I don't want to report him. Please don't deport him." She protected her rapist.
Okay, now
because she didn't want her to be reported. Deported.
Where were the men on the train?
It was a night train. I mean, I don't know how long it went on, but someone stopped it. I think I don't know how it went. I don't remember the story.
I mean, if someone intervenes during an active rape, making that assumption, should there really be a rapist to protect by the time the police arrive?
Yeah, I mean, killing him.
Well,
Sweden, to give Sweden some shit, we have really bad self-defense.
Sweden isn't Texas, Carnal. I mean, it's not like where I live. I mean,
we have sketchy self-defense laws that I wish to upgrade.
Well, it's not self-defense if there's no body.
Nah, that's murder.
That's filthy. That's filthy.
Disavow, Susan.
Yeah.
Susan, this is for entertainment purposes only. That was a joke. It was a joke. We disavow all types of violence.
I get your anger, but no, that's murder.
I am the comedian here, Susan. Everything I say is a joke. It's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Look elsewhere for your news.
All right. So that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think there was a similar case with like a Norwegian politician.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, where basically he got raped by a refugee and was very upset about the fact that the refugee was being deported.
Yeah.
And I think there was another case in Sweden where a guy's not girlfriend but female friend was being raped by a refugee, and the guy tried to, and I quote, negotiate him away from doing it, and then the refugee raped the man.
Do you have a link for that? Because that is
I will find it. I do remember.
That is absolutely amazing.
I can't remember if I think Angry Foreigner went into this or somebody else did, but I do remember hearing about this.
Yes, it's awful.
Angry Foreigner is cool.
That's that is oof. I please don't rape her. Shut up. You're next.
It's awful.
I'm gonna try and find it, but I do remember hearing this story, and I was just like, "Please tell me this is not an Onion post."
That is peak jungle shit right there.
Mm.
That is peak. I love it. Oh my gosh!
It's my nation you're talking about.
Well, yeah, but I can't talk with England with the grooming gang, so I mean, one of them was actually him. I'm just saying.
I can talk as much shit as I can.
No. Well, I mean, my city literally had a grooming gang.
Ugh.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, Kizza. It's messed up.
Yeah, and I'm not joking you. Do you know what the most ironic thing about? I'm pretty certain all the victims. Well, actually, sorry, all the perpetrators. They all lived on free streets, and they all worked for the local taxi firm.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no. So many drunk
Yeah.
women in those taxis.
You see,
Yeah,
everyone's
I
saying,
heard about
"Oh
that.
no."
Kizza told me about that. Did we talk about that in one of our long streams together, Kizza? Because I know we've talked about a lot.
Might have been a while ago. Yeah, but like I said, my city was one of the early ones that was added to the list of the grooming gang scandals.
I'm fucking sorry to hear.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Honestly, be sorry for the victims, but don't be sorry for the politicians. Because, like I said,
no,
I'm in
fuck
the
the
Labour safe seat.
politicians. But
I'm in the Labour safe seat. So, I mean, this.
Oof.
It's just so many.
I know. This is why I jokingly say I need to be assigned Supreme Emperor of the United Kingdom in order to fix this island.
Mm.
But that's me being an arrogant cunt. So, anyway, moving on.
Let's move on to a brighter topic, please.
Yes, brighter topic. Yes.
Okay. Well, there is a rather entertaining topic that I thought that we could float. Would one of you like to share the first graphic for us?
Sure.
I put it in the Discord links.
Yeah, let me just. I think I could. Oh, damn it! I didn't want to download that. Open a new tab. Okay, why is it being retarded when I say open new tab and it's decided to download? Well, if it'll allow me to share it.
Regardless, I think most people here have already seen it because I've shared it on Twitter and many people in the white positive sphere have been talking about it. Recently, it went viral that the Smithsonian, their African American whatever exhibit, put up this ridiculous placard or online thing. I don't really know what it looks like in person, but it's talking about white culture, white people, etc. And it is, quote unquote, what is whiteness? It's ridiculous. And I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about, where it goes down this long list of so-called white things. And it's stuff like being on time, having a healthy family, being self-reliant, and a bunch of other stuff that any productive society has of any kind. Doesn't matter if it's Asian or Indian or whatever the hell. And it reads and looks to me just like the old Soviet propaganda stuff that I saw from the 40s and 50s, talking about how the Western structure of capitalism is bad and we have to redo it all and all this other mess. It looked just like Soviet propaganda to me, and I thought it would be fun to pop it open and have a look. Do you want me to pop it open instead? I can.
Let me see.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to start it with the top one?
You guys are the hosts, so you do it.
All right. So where is it again?
In the links and articles part of the Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, I put it in there, and it's a link that I got directly from just an image search on Google. So you should be able to pop it into a tab and just share it.
I will. Just give me 1 moment.
Okay. Well, the reason I wanted us to talk about it is I thought it would be fun and playful for us to pop open the list of things that are so-called white culture, according to the Smithsonian, and go down it bullet point by bullet point and just have a laugh at how it's kind of like, in my opinion, I think it's probably counter to what the Smithsonian wants, because I just assume these days that institutions want Soviet propaganda, but it's kind of like advertising and shilling for the white race. It's kind of amazing that they would even put something like this up. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, as I said to you before, all leftists are white supremacists.
Yeah, I know that's a playful talking point. Lots of people say that because they need us at the top of the pyramid for all the bullshit to work.
All right. So, am I sharing the screen?
Not yet. It's not showing up.
No. Try again. Unless because you're the host, she's the only one who can share it.
Am I the only one that can share a screen since I'm the host? I thought anyone could share a screen on this interface.
Oh, no, I just hadn't finished the process.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry.
There it is.
We got it. Okay.
Right, now we got it. Yeah, sweet.
You need to make it bigger, though. You have to maximize it.
You have to, like, zoom in.
No, just open original and do it that way.
Yeah, just click open original, and then you can zoom it as big as you want in a browser tab.
Yeah.
Okay. Da-da-da.
Show, what's your point? Show,
I'm going to hide that so we don't show people your private tea on your Discord there.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Let's see.
It's still showing Discord. You're going to have to share whatever browser you've got.
All right. Mm-hmm.
High tier professionalism.
Yes. Yes.
Well, like I said, we're still ironing out a few little bugs.
All right, here we go.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Nice.
All right. Now, in the chat, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this here. This, according to the Smithsonian, the aspects and assumptions of whiteness, white culture in the United States. Now, keep in mind, the Smithsonian, for those of you who might not know or who might not be from America, is a cultural museum near our capital. And it is supposedly full of legitimate stuff about history and society and all this other stuff. But this mess is going to be, is currently there. And it says rugged individualism, family structure, the emphasis on scientific method, caring about history, and a Protestant work ethic. Now, I would like, Carnal, since you are our TradCon beloved religious man here, I would very much like you to go bullet point by bullet point and read to the rest of the class the Smithsonian supported facts of whiteness for us, please. Go ahead and start up there at the top.
So we're going to aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. Now, I would like to take a moment and try to let the audience imagine what if Jared Taylor had put up a bullet point list of blackness or black culture. This is, along those same kind of veins.
Exactly.
White dominant culture
the
or
mainstream media would have him hanging from the gallows by lunchtime.
And there wouldn't be enough rope in the world. Refers to the ways white people and their traditions. Wow. Their traditions. You mean the things that build nations and, make things, relatively peaceful and stable going on. Attitudes and ways of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the United States. So we're now lumping in white culture with basic nationalism. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America,
you can see where this is going.
We have all internalized some aspects of white culture, meaning you have adapted and overcome into your culture. You have become a peaceable agent in that culture. Including people of color, as in people of color should be ashamed of assuming these aspects, which is, of course, a load of crap.
Yeah, I know. This is one of the things that blew me away about this. This is at the Smithsonian or from the Smithsonian going to be part of an exhibit, and it blows my mind that a national institute is literally putting up what I would consider to be Soviet-era propaganda that acts like it's evil and wrong, or it is evil and wrong of whites to expect people to have national values and to be at work on time and to take care of themselves.
You know what?
It's mind-blowing that this is at an actual cultural museum near our capital. It's crazy.
You are correct, but we have to acknowledge the format and the standard that they're getting this from today. This is not reflective of old Soviet era in their mindset. This is actually imitating a format done today by conservatives, done by PragerU. This is this is a format that they know is working, that they're trying to steal from conservatives. So this to me is almost flattering. that they would use this format.
Well, they do say imitation is the highest form of flattery.
No, this is extremely flattering. That they would put it. It's almost the same shapes, the same color schemes, the same basic bullet points and whatnot. It's a little expanded. Like there's a lot of information here, a lot of bullet points, whereas Prager used very.
I know, but it still reads and looks like Soviet propaganda to me. But that could just be because I've got ex-Soviet family, so I don't know.
Well, continuing on, we have the rugged individualism section, as if rugged individualism is wrong, or I don't know how you could be disadvantaged being a rugged individual, but
regardless. Let's go to that last quote there where it says what?
You get what you deserve.
Now, where have we heard that recently in modern pop culture, everyone? Ladies and gentlemen in the chat? Anyone? Pomen, I'm assuming even you know, right? You're part of the Anglosphere too.
Yep.
I'm not. But what? Who is?
No, I mean, because you speak English. I was being playful.
Oh, yeah, no. Fuck Anglos. There it is.
Well, excuse me, princess. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
I think it's hilarious that on this they put the Joker quote because it's absolutely clown world. This here is peak clown world. That's why I thought we should all laugh at it today. So I just that was just amazing. So take us on to the next bullet. Well, I should ask the panelists. Do any of you have anything to say about this before we move on to family structure?
Before they do, I would like to add the second bullet point, which is kind of hidden off to the side: self-reliance as something that is indicative of white culture. Am I to understand that self-reliance is a negative aspect to a demographic of people whose ancestors came from a frickin' jungle continent? That they themselves are incapable or frown upon the attribute of self-reliance.
You're calling Africa a jungle continent?
Yes.
It's more arid plain and desert than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Congos, so sure, but that's the Congos.
Yeah, there's
I will never
very little
apologize
jungle.
for being an ugly American.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's good.
I mean, you're a Mormon with a big family to take care of. I can't expect you to know the particulars of basketball Americans.
Well, I know that the north of Africa is primarily Saharan desert. I know it gets better along the coasts, and then you have the middle and then the south. So I know I call it a jungle because it's funny. Anyways.
May I say my opinion about this one before we go?
Please go on.
Yeah. I fully agree with this. This is they're right. The only thing that they do wrong is just they frame it. They frame it in a very bad way, but otherwise it's correct.
Well, I mean, for me, I would say the little fucking stickman guy, I'm pretty certain that's how my old man would pose if he was posing a picture of this construction site.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it's weird that the little picture they used isn't white. It's like a brown man. I just think that's weird.
No. I tell you what, no. Actually, he's a coal miner who doesn't wear proper PPE.
The reason why he's black is because it's a white background.
Yeah. Actually, could I ask to take the third subject?
No, I was going to give it to you anyway because you're an engineer. I was going to give that to you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, appreciate it.
Well, Carnal, go ahead and continue with that next bit there. Start us down family structure. We'll have some fun with that.
Yes. So, another assumption or aspect of whiteness is the nuclear family. A father, mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. You need to up those rookie numbers, bitches. I mean, seriously, 2.3 is insulting.
I know. We need 7.
Exactly.
7 children. Come on now, guys. Stick with the program.
6 minimum, 7 is standard.
I'm just
Can I say one thing? Again, I disagree with actually all of Ye's, which is interesting. Because, again, it's just because they framed it in a very poorly way. I mean, they are correct in all of this. There's nothing.
I was joking about 7, by the way.
Yeah. All I was got to say is the 0.3 is clearly for the puppy. That's what the 0.3 is for.
No, my point, but my issue with you lads with this is they're not saying that black people don't do this. They're saying that, like, again, this is my issue with the framing of this. It's horribly framed, and they should be ashamed of the framing. But
Mhm.
they're not wrong. I mean, who was the main people to create the American culture? Well, it was most Protestants early on. That's why I had a Protestant work ethic. I mean, the reason why I hate the white culture thing is because it's not, you know, Europeans hate the idea. I mean, Europeans who are not sucking an American cock hates the
Right.
idea of white culture because a German is not the same as a Frenchman. Yes,
Right.
they might be pale, both of them, but
And
they're not
even
the same.
and even in the same area, Swedes are nothing like Finns, correct?
Yes, correct.
Same
Well,
with
and
the
So-
let me just try to how do I say relate to your sentiment. The left constantly calls for unity, yes, but the ultimate thing is if your unity is not rooted in nationalism, what's the point? Is ultimately my sentiment ultimately, but
Point to what?
um about their correctness about white culture. The fact is this shouldn't be seen through the prism of alleged whiteness. This is simply nationalism. This is
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. This is basically just what functional,
Yeah.
healthy nationalism should be, regardless of the religion or the race behind it.
But I
Yeah,
really
I
want
mean,
to get to the next point,
Yes, let's do it.
which is husband is breadwinner and head of household. Now, if I'm going to shill just a little bit. I did an
Sign
entire
me the fuck up.
I I did an entire video last night on the entire BLM manifesto, and one of the primary things that I noticed was fathers don't matter in the Black Lives Matter manifesto. The idea that the husband is the breadwinner and the head of household. If there were black fathers in the black community, Black Lives Matter couldn't exist because they might have a functioning, law-abiding populace or demographic that would negate BLM's necessity to prop up delinquents. um, so that's that. So if this is that this isn't white culture that the husband is the breadwinner and head of household, that's the ideal for every community.
The reason why they're saying white in that sense, many African tribes have a tribal family unit that it's not the father usually is the breadwinner in some sense, but he's not the caretaker. It's usually the eldest of the household is caretaker of the children and stuff like that. So this is why they say again, framing if this is awful. I want to defend this, but I just want to remove the top bits. You know, the aspects and assumption of whiteness and white. I just want to remove that and just say, you know, cultural aspects of America and I don't know, but some cultural aspects of America, how it grew up. I just want to say that because if they just framed it like that, they're 100% correct. There's not an issue with this. But because they framed it whiteness and white culture during the time where BLM is very active, it's not smart.
No, of course it's not. That's why I say it's like Soviet propaganda. It's because at this particular juncture in time, it's like the Soviets always wanted to look for any lever that they could drive into a populace just to wrench that lever back and forth to cause disarray or collapse or whatever so they could take over. It's like, to me, that's why this seems like Soviet propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say the whole thing about the family structure, it's clearly very Islamophobic. I'm just gonna say it's very, very Islamophobic. I'm sorry.
Well-
This is very Islamophobic. This is problematic. I disavow. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have to disavow this because it's Islamophobic.
Well, in their defense, and I hate to disagree with you, Kez, on this, but they do only list one mother.
Boom! Headshot.
Well, that is true.
Wait, the Mormon said that, by the way, everybody. The Mormon said that.
I was hoping somebody would say that. Take that, Carnal.
That is somewhat true, Carnal. But in terms of like when they're in Western countries, they can only have one wife.
On paper,
that's true.
No, officially, because if they try bringing the second wife in, that's and I know this in the UK, that's straight up illegal.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
Well, you could just call her like the aunt or the sister, or in the case of Elon Omar, your brother.
I was just about to mention her. But yeah, I would definitely say this is clearly Islamophobic.
Yeah. Well, let's move away from family structure for the sake of time, and let's move into the section that Kizza is going to read for us, which is emphasis on scientific method. Take it away, Kizza.
Good read. Good read. I like this reading. Very deep and philosophical reading.
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
Kizza.
Oh, he's muted.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Sorry.
That's all right. You're back.
As I was saying, objective, rational, linear thinking, cause and effect relationships, and quantitative emphasis. But the last one I'm a little surprised with. But the first two, regarding my engineering background, wow. Rational linear thinking, I'm just going to say this in my world, there's a lot of irrationality regarding the world I work in. And what I mean by that is there's certain concepts you have to work with where if you told the average person, they would think you're talking absolute BS or you're talking witchcraft.
Well, the main point I wanted to bring up on this one is when it says objective, when it says linear thinking, when it says quantitative emphasis, is this suggesting that only white people know how to fucking count? Is that what this is saying?
Yeah.
Because this is ludicrous.
No, it's not
technically speaking, this is technically very anti-Semitic. This bit. This is technically very anti-Semitic.
Careful now.
Hold on. The thing isn't saying that other groups that wouldn't be defined as white don't do this. It's just this is the main points of focus within white culture.
Yes, but
I know, and that just seems ridiculous to me to say that. Well, the aspect of white culture that helps define white culture or whiteness or whatever the hell these crazy people say is that they believe it's important to count things and to order things in a reasonable way. It's like, doesn't anyone who has any functional society do those things?
Yeah, you would think.
I have no issue with that. It's, again, you guys are seeing it from an ideological perspective or ideological sense where you have an issue with this.
Jesus.
Well,
no, yes. I'm just laughing at it mainly just to how ridiculous it is. But some of the things when it says rational linear thinking, what seems rational to an engineer is not or a scientist. It's not necessarily rational to the average person.
No, it's not about what's rational and what's not rational. It's about them framing it as rational.
Yes. I mean, the cause and effect relationships, that is very big in that field. So, for example, if I were to, attach someone's ear to a torque wrench, to an air gun that can spin up 300 Newton meters per second, what do you think is going to happen to that person's ear?
It's going to be short and clean off.
Exactly.
And
good old physics. But hang on, who's typing away?
So, okay. But for me, the comedy, I mean, the comedy, I don't think it's ideological from what we're viewing it as. I think we're finding humor in that it's being ideologically bent as whiteness or white culture when these are things that simply are.
Well, yeah. The reason why I have an issue with this as a white culture, this is American culture, meaning how it was built up as a Protestant nation early on, Freemasonry Protestant nation. The reason why I'm having a bit of an issue with this, it's, for example, the Protestant work ethic, which was the reason for one of the reasons for the Industrial Revolution happening the time it did, which was Protestant work ethic. But that's within Protestant nations. What about Catholic nations? So you're telling me that America have no Catholic influence? There's no Catholic people in America that work differently.
Unless I'm mistaken, don't Catholics have the highest religious share in America?
Well, yes, but Catholics are also famously excluded from high positions of power. Like, I don't think we've had very few Catholic presidents. Like, I think we might have had one Catholic president.
Kennedy.
Yeah. And
What, JFK?
Yeah,
he was
look what
Catholic.
happened.
He was
to him.
Irish Catholic.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fair. No, because I mean, with the whole thing of white culture, well, what I studied in, it's literally pretty much, they would call it white culture. I would call it just English supremacy.
Right. Let's get back on task here. We have a lot of ground to cover with this here.
Sure thing, yeah. So
let's.
so how
Anything else anybody wants to say about this? About the emphasis on scientific method before we move on?
I agree.
No, just no need. How about Pomen reads the history bit?
Nah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Pomen, you want to read the history bit?
Nah. You guys read.
Okay.
All right.
It's you. Okay, good.
Go ahead, Kizza, take it away.
No. I'll let you do it. I'll do the Protestant work ethic.
Oh, very well. Take the religious one from me. Based on based on northern European immigrants' experience in the United States, heavy focus on the British Empire, the primacy of Western Greek, Roman, and Judeo-Christian tradition. Now that is anti-Semitic, Kizza.
You know, I find that disgusting because I hate when Americans use Judeo-Christian.
I hate that too.
That's not a thing. Shut up.
Yeah, it's not a thing because Judaism is not Christianity. They're very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because if you're going to lump Judaism in with Christianity, you should also throw in Islam too. And none of those three are the same. They don't agree with each other.
No, they don't. Well, I'm sorry. I do have an issue, just on the grander scale. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that on this stream. Sorry, Susan. We're behaving, Susan. We promise. So yes.
Moving on.
Based on Northern European immigrants' experience in the United States, no, largely not. American history has been completely intermeshed with the experiences of those we brought over as free labor, and that's not true.
No, definitely not.
Heavy focus on the British Empire from a United States aspect. It is from the start, it was a refutation of the British Empire.
Well, keep in mind for framing, this does say white culture in the United States. This is not talking about all white people everywhere. So that part is kind of accurate.
So, well, heavy focus on the British Empire. It was also a grand refutation of the British Empire. So I guess we would have to focus on it as, an example.
Well, yeah, but if you hate your mom and dad, you're still a product of them. So
true.
Exactly.
I'm not negating that whatsoever.
I would also add, you could argue in terms of America's military strategy, it's basically 1-to-1 with the British Empire.
Well, the primary thing that bone I wanted to pick with this part is the word immigrant. We were not immigrants. We were motherfucking conquerors and adventurers.
Amen.
We came over here and we made this fucking place from nothing. The people that were already here weren't doing shit with it. They didn't even have the damn wheel, okay? And in the last 400 years, look what we've built here, okay? Yeah. We didn't immigrate. We created. We came here to wilderness. We explored. We conquered. We built. So framing this as an immigrant is part of this nasty, disgusting modern narrative that says everywhere has infinite resources and all cultures are the same and everyone just deserves to have books and roads and running water and science and universities and all this stuff, and people just go to a place and all of these things magically appear. No, motherfucker, we were not immigrants. We conquered and created here. And that's the part that I really hated about this. I just had to get that off my chest. So I'll give it back.
That's fair.
I'll give it back. Go ahead.
I think it's their subconscious self-loathing of the fact that whites are the only people that have created their own Wakanda.
Well,
I like
actually,
that one.
On the whole Wakanda thing, as I point out to many fans of Black Panther, they would be nowhere without alien technology.
Well, that's why we're superior to even Wakanda. We didn't need alien
That is an excellent point, Kizza. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Oh, no, trust me. I pissed off so many Black Panther fans when I pointed out that fact.
Well, it makes sense why some of the extreme black identity extremists believe in, like, alien influence.
Well, that is very true. I mean, I do remember there was a tribe somewhere in Africa who seemed to have, ironically enough, very, very good understanding of cosmology.
Oh, that's actually a very deep topic. Cosmology is an art and a science that's been around for ages, for literal ages. It's I'm not going to get into that right now.
No.
Because-
But I was just saying as an example. But yeah, I mean, for me, like, I just find the whole thing when he mentions Northern European immigrants, I'm like, well, way to disrespect the Irish and the Italians.
Yep.
I
Actually,
mean,
They were basically brought here
Italian
as
were plagued
as
to American
labor.
history.
yeah, I mean, and also let's not ignore the Spanish
Okay.
Portuguese element. I mean, yeah, they may have went south, but they still came up.
now,
Yeah.
actually, the in America, the largest public lynching ever was a group of 8 Italian men.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That is
the
interesting.
largest
I didn't know
lynching in America was 8 Italian men.
Yeah.
Well, let's unless you
This is
guys
why
have
you can
any.
never trust the Italians.
You can never trust the Italians. That's a good motto.
And we don't care whether you trust us or not. We'll still come out on top.
Well,
Wait, you
on
Italian?
the Italians.
Yes, I'm an Italian Mormon.
Well, actually, on the Italians. Well, actually,
Pasta Ferrari. Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway, as for the whole Italian thing, me being English, we know the Italians quite well, and we know how to royally piss them off. Because one thing I will say about the Italians is they are very prideful people, but they're also very superstitious and extremely spiteful in nature. Now, that's not a disrespect. That's just an acknowledgement I have noticed about them.
Well, we are the only culture who has, and there is no other word in any other language for the word vendetta.
Yes.
So I'll take it for what it is. It's a source of ethnic pride on that point.
That's very true.
We were Romans and shit. All right, no, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, just don't bring up the line from what's it called? True Romance.
All right. We won't. We'll move on. Let's go ahead and go with the Protestant work ethic. Kizza, you want to get us through that real quick here?
Yes. Let's see here. Hard work is the key to success. Absolutely. Work before play. Damn right. And if you meet your goals, if you didn't meet your goals, sorry, you didn't work hard enough. Now,
my initial response to this is, to me, this feels like something that is good and valuable about pretty much every culture and every person who's a product of good parents. Anything that you want to add to that, anybody?
Yeah, I was just going to add the point where it says if you didn't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. It may not necessarily be a case of you didn't work hard enough. It could be a case of just it might be a case of you went in the wrong direction.
Or didn't work smart enough, or
smart enough. Right. That's a big thing, working smart enough, because quite often the people who get to the very top are not necessarily the most hardworking, but they're the ones who are the most efficient at what they do.
I mean, I'm glad you guys are proving the point of this thing, which is funny.
Yeah.
But no, it's bloody beautiful. So it's not, again, ignore the first part of this fucking thing. The American culture thing has an issue with failure, and it doesn't view failure as, you failed. It's system and whatever can be wrong. It's you didn't work hard enough. That's why you failed. You're not a millionaire. It's your fault. Continue working. Continue being a slave. It's the American dream concept that goes in with this one, which is so fucking fascinating.
Well, there is an element. So good.
I'm thinking of this scene in Horrible Bosses, which talks in the beginning of the show, saying, "My mother traveled from Italy, and she had $20 to her name, and when she died, she had 21." It's like, yeah, absolute fucking failure. That means if you work hard, you don't actually get anything. You kind of have to cheat the system a bit.
Well, like I said, work smart, not hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But sadly, that's not how a lot of them it's changing the American concept of that, but early American dream concept was that work, and you will get it. But in actuality, the American dream was a lie.
Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of shortcomings of the systems we've had, the lies of capitalism, that kind of thing. I don't think that, capitalism is perfect and holy and great, and our liberal democracy doesn't ever need to be changed or whatever. I don't like democracy. There's a lot of problems with capitalism, but I know that I often come back to the Soviet era, but this is one of the primary things that makes me think this is Soviet propaganda. Is the last line here that about that if you don't meet your goals, you don't work hard enough. Because what this is saying is white culture is bad. Hold on just a second. Garage door.
Yeah. Sorry about that, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
mean, it's not saying that technically. I mean, you can interpret it as it, but wait, hold on. What's the? I need to read the.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. There was just a garage door, and it makes a horrible noise up here. But
Yeah.
the reason that I call this Soviet propaganda is because when you put the phrase in here, if you don't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. This is reinforcing the message of modern day democratic socialism of the demands put on you are unfair and unjust, and you need to be given the reward. You need to be given a consolation prize. You need to be handed what you want, even if you don't feel like or can't do the work. And that, my friend, is Soviet mind cancer right there.
Well, yeah, sure, sorry, but I do agree with that point. Yeah. It's kind of funny. A comment I'm reading here. It says, "Shh, nobody tell the Americans of the Chinese, Indians, Iranian, Koreans, or Filipino origin. They're actually white, according to the shots."
Oh my
That is
God!
very true. That is very true. If you look at their numbers, they are beating white.
No, it's not the beating whites. That's not the point. It's meaning they're doing this as well. They're doing what these guys are doing. Again, the issue is it's not white culture. Yes, it has European origin to it. And I guess in American sense, that's whiteness. Again, I hate this fucking white-black concept of America.
Yeah, me too. It's ridiculous, but go
it's
ahead.
absolutely fucking stupid. And this is my issue with this. But yeah, it's a European idea, but it just became American cultural thing, which I like to define as Americanism. This is just Americanism.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, like all of this right here, especially the stuff about being from North European and the British Empire and all that. Like, at least they framed it as white culture in the United States, because none of this would apply to like Estonia or Finland.
No.
Like, so at least they had the sense enough.
I mean,
to say
many things would apply, but not in the same sense.
Right.
That's
they're
a
not.
great
They're
comment.
not dumb.
Oh, that's brilliant.
All right.
I just saw what Troll said.
Yeah. No, Troll's cool. We have a lot of really great people in the chat today. Go ahead and get
last one.
Carnal. Go ahead and get the second image loaded up and expanded enough for us to see it.
All right, let me.
And while we're doing that, we are going to have me sharing links in the chat break here.
All right.
First and foremost, everyone who's here, in the next hour or so, we are going to have, in the next half hour, there's going to be Chuck Martell's Garage Party over on No White Guilt's channel. That's Jason's channel. So as soon as we're done here, everybody go over there for music, comedy skits, and fun. Pretty much this whole crew is going to be heading over that way, and I invite
I don't like the guy.
Okay, that's fine. And I invite everybody here to come over and join us there. Link number 2 we shared earlier, but I'm going to share it again, which is... Oops, I clicked the wrong button.
All right, can you all see that?
Yeah, I'll be sharing it here in a second.
Okay.
We have Traversing the Divide with us again. He makes excellent music. So that's Traversing the Divide. Go check out his channel. And also, we have the lovely Raymond with us, Brother Raymond. And Brother Raymond from Down Under makes incredible music, videos. He does good work with the No White Guilt posters and shirts. He makes a lot of good content. If you like white positive content and going free, that's a great channel to follow too. So now we've come to the end of the link sharing segment. Oh, say again, Kizza? What?
I was just calling the line. What is that? Is Raimundo.
Okay. Now everybody should be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and start this segment. So we have here at the top religion. Christianity as the norm. Anything other than censored Christian tradition is foreign. No tolerance for deviation from a single God concept. Now, this is something that sort of plagues me about this here, because if you look at just America, let alone the rest of the world or the rest of where Europeans live, a single God concept is prevalent among all of the other major demographics that live here, even the bloody Asians. So this to me is rather ludicrous, because going back just one or two generations, there's actually a higher involvement in Christian churches of blacks than whites in America, and a much higher involvement of Hispanics than whites in Catholic involvement. So to me, I don't understand this part. Carnal, do you want to comment on this?
Oh, it's the blatant shifting of the Overton window as far as blacks in America are concerned. Because if you look at the Black Lives Matter manifesto, which I went over, they do not want the black Christian community to be represented in their paradigm at all. That is more than obvious. And to be perfectly blunt, the black community is at odds with the trans community. They're at odds with the LGBT community. These three groups, the black community, the gays, and the trans, they are at odds with one another. And the blacks are at odds with both of the others more so than the other two. And so to say to carve out Christianity from blackness and to assign it as pure whiteness in the United States is not only false; it's pure propaganda. It is a deliberate attempt to dismantle further the black community. That is the only thing that this serves, is to how do you say it, demoralize black Christians from accepting the reality that being Christian can be a black identity.
Well,
That's essentially
that being the case, why do you think it's included here and presented this way, when I would imagine the people putting this together are quote unquote the enemy element here? Like, why do you think they would couch it this way? Because they're just bumbling idiots and they don't care about blacks in America? Like, what do you
no,
think?
this is a pure calculation. That this is yeah, that they are aware that Christianity is a impediment to their agenda. They have to villainize it. They have to delegitimize Christianity in order for their agenda to go forward. And this is a clear attempt to segregate Christianity from the black community, and it won't work. Like it will not serve its purpose. The agenda here is obviously to isolate and shame blacks who identify as Christian as being something other than black. And that's what I'm getting from this. Everything else, no tolerance for deviation from a single God concept. A black Christian isn't going to care about that. If anything, they're going to cheer it on. But to actually say that Christianity is the norm and that it is a sign of whiteness from the
That's insulting to Christians, right? Because I mean, Jesus was a Hebe, and then you've got like half of the world has Christians, and they're of all colors and creeds. So I think it's just ridiculous to call this whiteness. It's just ridiculous.
If you don't mind if I interject, it seems to be this BS narrative that Christianity is the quote unquote white man's religion, which is couldn't be further from the truth. And if you really want to be a right little funny little troll, you could point out that technically speaking, Islam is the true white man's religion. Because believe it or not, the Prophet Muhammad was white.
What the fuck? Excuse me?
I'm not joking you. I'm not joking you. In the Hadiths, David Woods, Act 17 apologist, great YouTuber, definitely check him out. He actually goes into this, and he actually proves that Muhammad was white.
No.
Ugh. I hate all the
No.
historical arguments over who was what
Okay,
race. It's
okay,
just so tired.
No,
Yeah,
there is this is an obfuscation. Let me try and shed some light on this. Muhammad was a native of the Middle Eastern area.
Yes.
In our modern paradigm, if you look at like census data, if you look at any like demographic data for censuses for the United States, for Britain, for anywhere else, technically speaking, legally on paper, Arabs are considered white. That doesn't mean they're Saxon. It doesn't mean that they're European. It doesn't mean that they're anything related to Western kind.
Silly.
No.
So this
conflation. He ain't white. End of story.
This conflation that Muhammad was somehow white or related to anything related to you or I or Western kind is
silly.
Bullshit.
It's
bullshit.
Absolutely.
I admit it's BS. I admit it's BS, but I'm just saying it's a hilarious like troll thing to know regarding the Hadiths.
I mean, pale or white? Yeah, sure, he was pale.
Yeah, that's the bit I find
But the
funny.
thing is, that doesn't make you white.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are people in Japan whiter than me.
Yeah,
there are people in China whiter than me. Like it's ridiculous.
Very good.
I just would rather move on for the sake of time.
Genghis Khan was white.
Who knows? It might have been.
No. Logic. I mean.
Oh
no. I'm just saying because if you try and use their logic and say Christianity, white man religion, because that's how it's stereotypically regarded.
I got you.
Even though the majority of Christians are not white, not even close.
Yeah.
Well, because we only make up like 9% of the world's population now, so clearly we don't make up the majority of almost anything anymore.
Well, I mean, if you were to take just China and India combined, they make up 1/3 of the human population.
Yeah.
And that's just in 2 countries.
Well, I would like to go ahead and wrap this up. So for sake of time, we're just going to sort of lump all the rest of this in together. They talk about status, power, authority, about wealth equaling worth,
because
respecting
rap videos
authority.
don't exist.
Yeah. They talk about time, the following of rigid schedules, time viewed as a commodity. Again, this is ludicrous. America as a country has only existed for like 2.5 centuries. And to think that people, like even Native Americans going back 2,000 years ago here, you think they didn't understand the passage of time and try to build their day around that? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, sunrise to sunset. I would say
if you farm, you need to know that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say there is like one thing I do have. Actually, there's 2 things I do have a slight issue with. Wealth equaling worth. No. That couldn't be further from the truth. I would argue, because if you're going to make the claim that wealth defines your worth, then by that logic, then Hollywood is worth vastly more than, let's say, your doctors and nurses down your local hospital.
Are they not, though?
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then you look at future orientation, planning for the future, delayed gratification, progress is always best, tomorrow is better. Again, same thing with time. People going back to before they even had written language, they knew this stuff. Then aesthetics. This is actually rather interesting. Aesthetics based on European culture. This I have a real problem with, because what have we been beaten with for the last 8 or 9 years? This whole cultural appropriation nonsense. Europeans are adventurers, explorers. We love to adapt the native tribal song and dance and dress. We think like we'll go to Africa, we'll go to the Polynesian Isles, we'll go to Asia, and we bring back beautiful pieces of other cultures, their music, their traditions, because we don't just look at other things and go, oh, that's not European, I'm going to turn my nose up at that. That's not pretty because it's not white. Like, point to me any European culture that does that. I can't name one. Can you?
Well, no, it's one of the advantages, we'll call it, of those who are from the Anglosphere, is when we go to another culture, we can adapt faster than any other culture could to ours. Like, if we go to Japan, we will become as close to Japanese as we possibly can. If we go to Africa, we will acclimate to their tribal traditions as close as we can. Same for the South Americas. Same for any of the Polynesian Isles. We are highly adaptive. And it's even in America, if you have
exactly.
We all know this one chick, white, pasty white, but talks as like either she's either talking Ebonics or she sounds like she's a Latina from the ghetto.
Yeah,
but she's
big cities
white
in
as
America
can
are
be.
full of people like that.
And it's white people can adapt to anything and anywhere we go. So this idea that the aesthetics of is based on based on European culture is this is an anti-white sentiment because it disregards one of our greatest strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
Adaptability.
Yeah.
Well, adaptability. I mean,
now
let's talk to Pomen, because Pomen's a Swede.
Hang on, guys.
Hello.
On that note, I am at home. I've been on stream for an hour and 45 minutes, and I have a beautiful wife giving me dirty looks while making me sandwiches.
All right. Well, then you go ahead and bounce. We're going to wrap up here shortly anyway. So everybody bid Carnal adieu, and we will see you another day, my friend.
All right.
Take care, Carnal.
It has been lovely. You guys have been great, and I will see you all next time.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
All right, there we go. There we have it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Right.
So I wanted to wrap up soon anyway because it's getting close to 5, and I would like to thank our Swedish guest today, Pomen. Pomen, I've loved talking to you. I've loved you being here and being willing to share with us. Is there anything you'd like to talk about or say before we wrap things up here today? We still have another 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Oh. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but that's a talk for next week.
Okay, sure. And you're
not that next. I don't mean next week as in that. I mean next week as in when everything has happened behind the scenes are done. We can talk again. But
sure.
But so this is No White Guilt. Like you're part of No White Guilt, right? Like part of his gang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Anything you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I always found the guy interesting. Is he religious, like a Christian?
No, he like me. He grew up Southern Baptist, but he didn't like a lot of the ways that how it made people, how it was full of problems and hypocrisy, and it ended up being something overall negative in his life. And so, similar to me, he departed with the religion. So I guess you could call him an atheist, but I've never heard him identify that way. Like I just go with the flow and say I'm culturally a Christian because that's my culture. But I guess if you need to be technical about it, I'm an atheist. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but from listening to him for the last 4 or 5 months, he's probably similar, I guess. Maybe spiritual is a better way to put it. But no, he definitely doesn't identify as as a standard religion of any kind.
And he's not part of the perennial gang.
I don't even know what that is, so probably not.
All right, fair enough. That's good,
what's the perennial gang? Just out of curiosity.
Well, the perennialism is that an idea that all, not knowledge per se, but all religious knowledge, all religiosity comes from one source. So all religions are technically true because it derives from one source. Usually, it's been bastardized.
Okay. So
it's kind of our job, how are we going to say it, to find out the truth.
So
you could, in some sense.
So basically, it's like a giant game of Chinese whispers. Have you ever heard of that concept?
No.
Okay, no worries.
I mean, Mormonism, for example, is perennial in practice because it's masonry.
Okay.
Masonry is perennialism. Well, part because perennialism comes from an occultism, and it was driven to the political by René Guénon in the 90s. I think it was the 90s, which created a traditionalist school, which you're technically a part of, if I'm correct.
Wait, what? Which I'm a part of?
Traditionalism, and the traditionalist school. which
okay, I see.
which comes from an occultist tradition,
Interesting.
drained by perennialism.
Okay, so that's how it filtered through the Masons, because the Masonic thing was very big part of ushering that in, or what?
No, not at all. I mean, he was a Mason, but it's not. Guénon's view on Masonry was not so much about the idea itself. He didn't care much about the idea. What he liked about it was rituals. God damn,
was the what? The riches?
Rituals.
Oh, rituals. Oh, okay, interesting.
They have, you know, if you become a part of, depending on what Masonry lodge you go to, there are different levels, and these takes years to get. The funny thing is, I spend the amount of time I'm allowed to spend with Masons, because I'm not allowed to talk honestly with them.
Well, I find occultism and rituals very interesting, so we could have a whole stream talking about that stuff one day if you like.
I'm just going to get to my point.
Sure.
And what they do, they say pretty much, sure, you can read by yourself, but what's the point? We give you a way to improve your life through learning, through learning, to teaching, through reading. And the more you do, the more you climb in ranks, and the more you feel a fulfillment.
Okay.
Technically, until you reach the end, and then you cannot this was useless. But up until that point, you feel the fulfillment. And this is what the traditional school wanted early on, is that society is built around these rituals of growth, ritualistic growth.
Okay.
Because it's a critique on modernism and the, death of religion within modernism and death of any sort of fulfillment of a role. Because in feudal societies, you had a role put onto you. If your father is a farmer, you're a farmer. That puts you into a role where you know what to do. And then you died. More or less, you didn't have and then God was there to fill any void that you had. But you never questioned your existence in that way we do today.
But now half of the people in the West are gripped with existential crises today.
Correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't passed as well, but not as prevalent.
Yeah.
Because of rituals to fill that point. So he's more or less saying modernism killed that ritual. We have to take it back somehow. And his criticism wasn't anything. So he converted to Sufism because they find the ritualistic meaning quite a lot. And Sufism is nice and all. But he also said, I can convert to Islam now because it hasn't reached the high point of modernism. But in a generation or two, Islam is dead. Which was exactly what happened. Wahhabism or Salafism is peak modernity. Yes.
And in a lot of ways, the Islam that was, I'm kind of sad it's gone. Because I think it could have been a valuable part of the modern era and could have given people a lot of healthy meaning instead of just the awful monster it became today.
Yeah, but they focus on materialism. Part of modernism is materialism. What we have here. So, for example, the headscarf or the
hijab.
The hijab
and the niqab.
Yeah, the niqab and hijab, yeah.
Back in the day, it wasn't that force on it. It was more used as a ritual garment. You go to the mosque with it. You go out, kind of not showing that you're not Muslim. It's part of tradition. It's part of ritual for you to do it. Now it's part of identity and materialism.
Yeah.
And it kind of does not derive its point from Allah anymore. It derives its point from I am a Muslim. It's like, who gives a fuck? You're not practicing. You're not on your knees praying 5 times a day. You're wearing a headscarf, and if I can think you're a Muslim, you haven't devoted yourself to Allah. Oh, and whatever the traditional thing is.
Well, that was cool. Thank you for sharing. That's definitely something I'd like to talk to you more about another day. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up today?
I mean, it's a lot we can talk about, but I don't know. One small topic.
All right. Well, Kizza, is there anything you'd like to share or say before we sign off here? Are you muted, Kizza?
I think he is. The dog ate the mic.
The dog ate the mic.
No,
There
sorry,
he is.
I'm here.
There he is.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Basically, while you two was talking, I just found an absolutely disgusting article.
Well, we don't have
regarding-
time for more of that. We have to get out of here.
But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think. I don't know, what was I going to say? Maybe that's something I was going to say.
No idea.
But why don't you just say say bye, because we have to wrap things up. I have to go to the bathroom. We have to get to the garage party.
Yeah. No,
Goodbye.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Take care.
Pomen, seriously, thank you very much for coming by, my friend. I really
Yeah.
do appreciate you being here today, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
And do check out my channel, people.
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
Let me link his channel again. Hold on a second.
And my Twitter.
I linked it earlier. Let me link it
Yeah,
again.
32K views. Oh, not bad.
That's one video. I have 73 in another. 78. 79. Hey.
Yeah.
Another.
All right. Okay, there's Pomen, and
Ooh.
all right.
That's quite
and,
a spicy video.
Pomen's Twitter is on his About tab. You can follow him on Twitter there.
Yeah, I'll post it here anyways. There you go.
Yeah, you can post it too if you like.
Follow me. I'm a good guy.
Follow Pomen, and I did not know to follow you on Twitter. I'm going to follow you on Twitter right now.
Awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now.
Yeah, like I said,
All
I would do the same, but I'm banned from Twitter.
I know.
Yeah, you got the axe. You got the axe on Twitter.
Yeah, but you'll laugh at the reason why.
All right then. Well, thank everyone for coming by. Remember, I'm going to the garage party. I think most of you are too. And look for us again next week. We're going to have more guests, more fun, and hopefully more laughs and enlightenment together. So until then, take care. See you too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.